In this video, I'm going to show you how I took this pile of old pallet wood and turned it into this rustic pipe rack. The video will be long. It's 30 minutes. It does include a lot of my thought process, or I'm actually talking about what I'm thinking about doing. So that's why I'm showing the finished product up front. It is for my Dr. Grabow's. And for those of you that are interested in seeing the whole process, it's 30 minutes long, but I kind of go each step along the way, show some missteps, and at the very end I will go over the cut sheet of all the different sizes of the parts I used. That way, if you want to make something similar, you'll have the measurements. So if this is as far as you watch, thanks for watching. If you want to see the whole thing, keep watching. Noah at Noah's house, I will put his link in the description, made a really dandy pipe rack out of some pallet wood. So I think I'm going to try the same thing. I happen to have some pallet wood in various shape and condition. See what we can do. Now my intent is to build one for my Dr. Grabow's. Just a dedicated rack for them. I currently have 11, and that's going to kind of force me into making a 2-tier with 6 on each. That gives me the freedom to buy one more, and then that's it as far as that goes. So what I've kind of done to start with is just took a look at my wood here and kind of sorted the pipes by size to get an idea. Maybe have a shorter row on the bottom that will cover these pipes, and then a second row slightly bigger that will compensate for the larger extension. My idea is to have them in the pipe rack either like this, slightly bent, and instead of having slots at the top, have a hole so I can push the pipe in and then set it down and it won't fall out. Because I'm on the back of it, I'm going to put a French cleat so I can kind of hang it on the wall. So we'll see how it goes. That's step 1. Organization. All right, the plan is to have 2 shelves. These pipes are not to scale, but there'll be a row of 6 pipes here, and then there'll be a row of 6 pipes here. I've kind of got the rough measurements here, and I'll put all the, of course, how everything comes out final, all the final measurements in the video at the end and in the description for the cut list. But basic concept is I've got these, and the pipe will go here, and then this one will be where the holes are drilled into, and then this will be the base for the next one. So right now, I left this one a little bit wider so I can use the Forstner bits in there to try and keep the wood from splitting. I got plenty of extra, but I don't want to have to keep using the table saw. So I'll measure out, cut 6 holes on this piece, duplicate those up on that piece, and then once everything's done with the holes, I'll come down and I'll run it through the table saw again and strip off that end. I just wanted to make sure there was extra for when I do the drilling. Okay, we are going to try this here. Not sure if we're through though. It does get hot. It does get hot. I'm going to go a little bit further here. Okay, I think we're through the plywood. Went all the way through. Had to put this down because there's metal underneath, so I need a sacrificial piece under here. It seemed to be okay. I guess these are cheap. I got these Faulkner bits on Amazon, and just on the first cut, kind of burned out a little bit. So I guess I'm just going to have to go really slow. I didn't get any chip out, so it did make a clean cut. So the plan is now just keep drilling the rest of these out and then repeat the process. I think that's going to be wide enough to get the pipes in. I know this ain't the best test, but if I have this here and I haven't worked out the thing, I guess this will kind of spin on its own. I might have to come up with something to hold it. I guess with the back there, it won't spin. But this size hole should work for me to get the pipes in and out. I haven't worked out what I'm going to do on the bottom yet. Holes came out okay, I think. And this is the line that I'm going to, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a pencil line on here. This is where I'm going to shave this down on the table saw, so it'll be the same size as that. Now I just have to do the same thing to this one, which will be the top row of 6 pipes. And setting the pipe on that bottom part there tells me I'm probably going to have to do maybe some kind of non-slip rubber on the length of the whole thing. I don't want to build individual channels, I don't think, for the pipes, because since they're Grabows, I want them to sit in sideways so the spade will be seen, except for probably on this one. That'll probably be in the hole. Anyway, that's where we're at now. Do some more drilling and I'll be back. Now we're at the point where I need to make this the size of the bottom place where the pipes are going to set. So I need to basically cut this off. I was going to use the table saw, but I thought with the holes drilled in here, it might have weakened the wood. So I think we're going to try and do it in the bandsaw to be safe. Now this is pallet wood, but it's pretty hard wood, so we'll see how it goes. All right, looks like they came out pretty good. Take them back over to the bench. All right, so that's kind of how it's coming out now. We'll have the bottom row here, or the bottom of the shelf here, or the rack. We'll have this row of pipes. Then of course there'll be a space for the stems. And this is where the next row of pipes will go in. And then I'll probably put some kind of a cross header at the top. We're still in the rough design phase now. And I am going to put a lip to keep a slight overhang just so the pipes don't want to fall off the shelf should it be tipped or bumped. So it'll be just a slight little rise. Here's all of the Grabows in their temporary spots. I'm just kind of doing a layout to make sure I have the spacing for the shelves done properly. Make sure there's enough room for the stems of the pipe on the bottom row. I think I have the measurements pretty much down. I'll just double check everything and see this pipe rack limits my pad. There's only one open spot left, so I can only expand my Grabow collection by one pipe. So I'm gonna have to be choosy. These are the main pieces. We got the two sides, bottom shelf, and then the top shelf. Now there still will be a piece, not this particular piece of wood, but something that goes across the top. Be like a trim piece. And there should be pallet boards behind all this. What we're going to do is get it stained up. I'm going to start with the red oak. I believe it's about the same color as that. Didn't want to go too dark on it because I do want to be able to see the pipes. So we'll get this stained up and then begin assembly. All right, it came out a little bit darker than I was thinking it was going to come out, but it's all right. I like it. I think it looks nice. I think, let's see. Yeah, the pipes have a good contrast to that. And I think the plank boards in the back will end up looking lighter. But yeah, that's not a bad effect there. And it looks good with the pipes. Well, we'll see. I'm ready for assembly now. At first, I was just gonna slap a little glue, put some nails in. I'm not sure it's not gonna give it enough strength. I mean, it's just gonna hang on a wall, but I want it to be a little more durable. So I think what I'm gonna do is use some of these. Drill a hole through all the way, small hole, and then drill out here and here. Put one of these in, and then glue it in that way. Just kind of give it a little more, I don't know, robustness. We'll see. I've kind of come up with a good system, it seems. I'm drilling through small from the outside. Then I come back through this 5mm, drill down there, and then drill into there to put these little pieces in. And once I get all of them dry set on this side, I'll flip over, do that side, make sure everything is nice and level and even, and then I'll start committing glue, and then I'll use some nail gun nails to give it one or two extra support points. Okay, pro tip. This wasn't seated far enough, so I figured I'd extend the hole a little bit deeper, but I decided that I would just extend this hole deeper, which was pretty stupid because there was a cutout. Nothing that a little wood filler doesn't fix, but you know, it's just when you're not thinking straight, shit like that happens. So should have went for a little deeper hole on this side. Just thought I'd throw that in there. All right, both sides are set now. They're drilled on both sides and they have these little dowels in them. I didn't put tape on the drill bit, so they're odd measurements, but they fully seat, so that's all that matters. So now the plan is to use some tight bond and glue up. I'm going to glue up one side and then use clamps against this backrest to keep it pulled tight. And then once it's dried, I'll flip it around and commit the other side. I'm not going to worry about square just yet. I'll worry about square when I'm actually laying it on the back planks. All right, got it glued and clamped, so we're going to let this sit. And like I said, once this side is dry, I'll flip it around and do that side. That's where this lift up piece on this workbench comes in handy, because lift it up and you can clamp to it. Also, it provides a great backstop for when you're drilling or pushing in this way. It's a nice, good little backstop. And when I don't need it, it drops down. All right, once it's all glued and dried, we'll be back. Still have to put the top accent piece on. Do have to burn in the spade there. And then got this long board here that I'll have to cut down and be the back planks. Not sure if I want to run them up and down or lengthwise. I'm not sure how the seams will look if they don't line up, so I figure that the seams would look better that way as opposed to being offset oddly horizontally. Okay, so design flaw, or should I say assembly misstep. I was thinking, well, I'll just wait till all these pieces or the whole thing's secured and then I'll put this on, but there's no way to make something like this work once both sides are set. So I'm going to have to come up with a different way to secure this. I thought about just using a nail gun and some glue. Maybe I'll try that first and hope for the best on that. And it doesn't have to support any weight. It just has to sit there and look good. So yeah, I should have done this before I committed the second side. Things you learn. Hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it? Okay, I think it's gonna work. I did use the nail gun and a little bit of glue in there. Came in from the side, 2 pins there, 2 pins on that side. And this is not structural anyway, it's just decorative that sits at the top. I think now maybe, I probably should have done it before, but I'm gonna burn in the spade, the Dr. Grabow spade there. Hopefully I don't screw it up since I've already committed the piece in its spot. And what's left on the front part are the tray covers. What they do is they kind of sit up a little bit, so they'll keep the pipes from slipping out on the front. There'll be one there and there'll be one there. Then of course I still need to put the back pieces on, but we're getting there. I've done the burn in. I'm going to keep it subtle. The nice little rustic spade at the top. I was tempted to keep, tweaking it, but that's usually when I make a mistake. So it stands out just enough. Now it's time to put these on. The only thing I'm torn with is, do I do a little bit of glue before I nail it on? Really torn on that, but I think I will. I think I'll put a slight bit of glue on there just to make sure it holds. It shouldn't have a lot of force being pressed on it ever, so I think I'll do that. And because this is a face piece, instead of using these rather large ones, and they do have a head on them. These are more structural. I'm going to go with these headless pin type nails. And I think that should be more than adequate. I can run them in at a slight angle, opposing angles, and that should hold it, especially with the glue. So I'm afraid if I use something big like that, it'll just split this pallet, cheap pallet wood. So yeah, that's what we're going with. Some, let me show you the size. Yeah, 23 gauge. All right, we'll get it nailed up. Okay, so there's the test fit. Front part is done. Now I just need to do the backboards. And they all fit in there nice. This one is a little tight getting in and out, but it does work. So I did allow enough room. I was tempted to go with a smaller gap, and I'm glad I didn't. First, I thought it might have been too wide, but they sit in there nice. I was also worried that they might slide a bit, but they seem to find a nice resting spot without messing around too much. So I think this is going to work. It's going to show off the pipes nice. And I'm tempted to go with the same color, maybe a little bit lighter shade on the back. Haven't decided yet, but yeah, coming along nicely. All right, so here was the plan, to put the planks in like that. You know, I have to stain them, of course. But when you're working with free pallet wood, you end up with this. So I got 5 boards, but I've got the exact same overhang on each side. So I'm going to have to rip some boards to give it an even appearance, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I've got my 6th board here. So I'll have to kind of plan it out, see how it looks, and figure what I need to strip off. All right, there's really only one solution. I didn't want to have a seam down the middle. I kind of wanted to have a solid board. It's just no way it's going to work out. So basically, I'm going to have to use the table saw, rip this off. But one thing I did notice, thankfully, is even though this is all one board, you can see some are thicker and thinner. So I'm going to take this opportunity to organize them appropriately and maybe put the thinner ones on the inside, and make sure the thick ones are on the outside, because I have to put a French cleat at the top so it can hang on the wall. So glad I actually noticed that before I committed this stuff. Funny how it can be all different thicknesses on one board, but I guess that's what you get with pallet wood. Okay, we got the sideboards ripped down on the table saw, everything sanded, and the stain on. So now this has to dry. And once it's dry, we'll put the boards on the back, and that should be about the end. I probably will cover this with a little bit of paste wax just to make sure none of the stain transfers to the pipes. Okay, the backboards have been stained, and I did put a coat of this on just to kind of give it a little bit of a sheen and hopefully keep any of the stain from ever rubbing onto the pipes. And this is how it looks. So that's going to kind of be the look once I get these attached. Now, my thinking is either nail them with the air nailer, or on the thicker bottom pipe shelves, maybe put some screws in so they're removable. Not sure. Haven't decided on that. Okay, so what I've done is I've flipped these backwards. So this actually, you won't see this. This is the back side. But I've flipped them upside down so I can actually mark with a pencil where these boards fall. So when I'm mounting them on the back, I'll have lines of exactly where I can put the screws through without them popping through in this area. That way I'll hit my mark. Now, the reason why I don't want to do anything on this, on the whole rows, is pretty obvious, but I could take an extra step and mark where I could actually come through there, because the last thing I want is a nail or a screw popping through one of those holes. But yeah, that's the plan. That way I'll have clear lines once I'm mounting them on. Okay, I'm using these. I've got these boards pin nailed in. Just these headless pins. Just to kind of hold them in place. And I'm going to put larger nails in some places. But I felt I needed some screws since I am going to mount this French cleat to this and wall hang it. So what I've done is pre-drilled and some countersink holes for these screws. Got one at the bottom and the top of the edge board. That just basically ties the base to the outside edge. Same concept here. And then I went one board in. There'll just be an additional screw here because the majority of the weight is going to be the French cleat that gets tied into here and here. So that's the engineering theory behind it. And there's not going to be a lot of weight on it anyway. Most of the weight is the shelf itself, and it's not too awfully heavy. All right, I'll get the screws in and get the French cleat going. Okay, the way I kind of mount my French cleats is I pre-drill and pre-countersink the cleat, and then I mount it to one side, then stand up the workpiece, and I just kind of find the level spot like that. Then with this one, go in just a tad so I can mark it, and I'll swing it down. Oops. And then pre-drill the piece a little bit so I don't split the wood. And then I'll bring this back up. There we go. Now it should hang perfectly level. The only thing left for me to do at this point is I just need to mount this in, and all this is going to do is keep it from leaning back against the wall. If I was to mount this inside the house, I would basically only have I would mount this, just this one piece to the wall, and then that could hang like that. And then this will keep the workpiece from leaning. It'll provide the same thickness as the top piece. So that's the beauty of this. You can mount this little thing level on the wall, and actually probably even smaller for the weight of what this is going to hold. Then you just put a small support piece to keep it pushed out. All right, I get this piece in, and I think that's a wrap. All right, it's complete now. I think it came out pretty nice. It's got an old rustic kind of feel to it. Made completely from pallet wood. And I also put the French cleat on. Now, disclaimer, these are not pallet wood, but anything that you use to mount it to a wall wouldn't be pallet wood. So I needed to make sure it was a consistent thickness. But it was stock. I already had it on hand, so it was free. I'll get loaded up with pipes and see how she looks. Now, as you see the burned in spade there, this will be for the Dr. Grabows. Custom made for the little collection I have. All right, we'll get loaded up and I'll be back. All right, there it is with the Grabows in their new home. Custom little pipe shelf just for them. And it does show off the spades. I kind of built that in mind with placing the shelf height so they'd be visible. The ones that weren't, of course, faced there or on the mouthpiece in the case of that one. So that's complete. One spot open in case there's ever one I want to add. So I'm going to be very picky about anything that might possibly go in that spot. And let me show you how it looks like when I hang it up on the wall. So now the pipes do move a little bit when I carry it. Of course, I'm not going to be carrying it. When I sit it there, they stay stationary. So the only thing I might add is down inside on this shelf ledge is perhaps some little rubber matting so they don't slip. But because this comes up, it holds them nice. I don't have to worry about them ever falling out. If I want to take them out, there's plenty of room just to... That's why I made the holes. They seemed like they were way too large, but they allow the pipe to come in at an angle because it's a very shallow depth here. There's not a lot of room, even for the fattest one. The fattest one has just a little bit of play. So, and it's basically designed to hold any shape. So that's it. Thank you for watching. And I will catch you all on the next one. Okay, I'm going to kind of go top to bottom on the shelf. So this will be the decorative piece. These will be the shelf caps. This will be the slotted shelf, the pipe resting shelf, side panel, backboards. You get the picture. So the accent piece at the top, and sorry, this is going to all be in centimeters, so you'll have to convert if you're on Imperial. So the thickness is 2 centimeters. All the wood pretty much is 2 centimeters thick. So 37 centimeters across by 2 centimeters high. And then in the center, it's 18.5 centimeters. I basically took that and I just connected it down to 2 on each side. Both of the side pieces are, again, 2 centimeters thick, 39 centimeters long, and depth is 4.9 centimeters. So back to front. The shelves, 37. So all the shelves are going to be 37 centimeters wide by 2 centimeters high. And the actual depth of the shelf that the pipe sits on, and also for the holes, it's 3.9. So it does sit back 1 centimeter from the front edge of this. That allows room for that shelf cap piece to sit in there. This piece here, which is only 1.4 centimeters thick. So everything else is 2 centimeters. That piece is only 1.4. So you'll need to have a bandsaw or get some other trim type wood that's thin like that. Again, the width of the shelf the shelf cap 37 centimeters by 4.3 centimeters high. And the holes from left to right, I kind of took it, once I had the board cut, 37 centimeters. I measured over 4 centimeters, and then I measured 10, and then I measured 16, and these are all measurements from left edge, okay? And that gave me the best kind of spacing that I could get for 6 holes in a 37 centimeter space. The holes themselves are 28 millimeter, and I did use a Forstner bit on a drill press, but you could use a Forstner bit in a regular hand drill. I mean, it's nice to have them perfectly straight, but for a pipe rack, if they're slightly canted one way or the other, it's not finished carpentry, so it won't really matter. But 28 millimeters gave it plenty of room to get the pipes in from pretty much any angle and have them seat. Now, my boards had on the pallet had a slight bevel there. So if you wanted to replicate that the way it looks, to soften the front edge, I'm not showing you. Mine did have, and that was just the way the pallet wood was. So on this one, this is the back wall out 2 centimeters and then come down on the front part of the board 1.2 and then make an angle. I have no idea what angle that is because, like I said, that was just the way the board came. All right, now on to the back pieces. Okay, the back slats, there's 2 thin ones that are on the outside here and here. They are 39 high, which is the same height as the sides, by 5.5 centimeters wide. And the remaining 4, so you've got 2 at that size and you've got 4 at 39 high by 7.5 wide. So it's kind of, remember I had to cut down the 2 on the ends. So you got 4 in the middle that are 7.5, those 2, 5.5. Okay, I will try and scan this and hold it up or post it up at the end of the video. And I'm sorry, that's just about as fancy as this channel is going to get. I don't have CAD software. So that's the build list. If you get any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments.